This could be a whole new look, y'all. That's kind of cute, right? Welcome and welcome back to my channel and welcome to this vlog. This is the Octavia Butler vlog. I have been looking forward to reading Octavia Butler books for months and I'm finally gonna do it. Okay, so Octavia Butler is a science fiction writer and she has written many books and she has won a lot of awards. Just an amazing, talented, unique writer. Now she's actually won the MacArthur Genius Nebula Award and multiple Hugo Awards, which is an award for science fiction writing. She is also considered one of America's most prominent science fiction writers, and I'm all here for those books. So let's talk about a few that I have already read. Now, I read a book that is called Unexpected Stories, and it's actually 2 novellas. So the first novella is called A Necessary Being, and it's basically about a system where you have a hierarchy of individuals based off the skin color. So the bluer you are, then the more prominent you are in society. They're the leaders. So you have this one tribe where they have a How, which is the most bluest person, and she does not have a mate. So her tribe encounters this other tribe that has a How, and they're like, hey look, we need to take home boy because you need to mate with him and get us an heir so when you pass on we can still have a How. So there's a scheme going on, but he doesn't take too kindly to that. But this was a really interesting novella. It definitely shows how when people work together, it ensures survival better than as individuals. It also shows how your confidence as a leader shines the more that you lead, and no one can actually do that for you. You have to do it on your own. But really good book. I enjoyed it. Now, another story in this book is called Child Finder. Child Finder is basically about Barbara, who is part of a group of child finders. They basically find children with this pre-psychic ability and cultivate it, because if you don't cultivate it when they're young, it's one of them use it or lose it type things. But Barbara has her own plans when she just wants to cultivate that ability in the black children that she finds, because she has a master plan. So when the group comes looking for her, then she realizes that there's some danger ahead. Now, the other book I read is called Bloodchild and Other Stories, and it's basically a bunch of short stories in this collection right here on Kindle. Now, what I really liked about this particular book is that Butler at the end of each story actually did a a thought process in what she was going through with each story, and I thought that was really unique. So you can actually hear from her instead of everybody else, you know, putting their 2 cents in. She finally did hers. Now, the story Bloodchild was definitely unique. I don't think I've ever seen quite a plot like that before. But basically you have humans and aliens have like this symbiotic relationship with each other, where the aliens need the humans in order to procreate, but it's very dangerous for the humans in order to do it. So you have this child that has been given the task for this one alien, and he's really scared for it. So I'll just leave it at that. But it was definitely very unique, almost cringy at times. Now, some of the stuff that I questioned in the book was, are the aliens really aliens, considered we as humans went to their planet? So wouldn't we be considered the aliens? And I also thought that there was quite a bit of desperation in this particular story. Like, you have the humans, the black humans that went to this planet to escape being killed or being enslaved. But then you have the aliens that need the humans in order to continue to grow as a population. So just desperation all around. I thought this was a sad story, but it was also really fun at the same time. And just because I had time, I decided to read another story. But truthfully, I only got this book for Bloodchild. The evening and the morning and the night. And this was a very easy read, almost juvenile in nature, really. But you basically have the population with this disease called DGD that basically makes people go mad, and they start like clawing at themselves, maiming and injuring and killing themselves and potentially others. So then you have this couple that goes to this institution to find the mother of the guy, and they realize that this disease can be controlled in a unique way. So it's a really interesting story. It was an easy read, and it definitely made me think about the power of scent. But overall, good story. There's definitely a whole lot more other stories in this book, but I really don't care to go through that. I want to read a big novel. And actually what's cool is that Octavia Butler actually says that she doesn't really think she's that great at short story writing, because her stories have so much to say that she basically needs space in order to do it. So that's why she writes big books. So that is what I am wanting to read at this point. But good stories. These are 4 short stories, definitely worth checking out. I think she does have a good talent for putting a lot in such a small space. Now, what I plan to read now is Kindred. Now, Kindred comes in a few different forms. Instead of reading a traditional book, Kindred, I am actually going to read this graphic novel of Kindred, and I'm excited to do so. So, stay tuned. Trying to make some money, y'all. I'm here about to sell this hand massager to somebody. Facebook Marketplace is the shit. Well, here's the lunch that I bought with the $20 that I made. Pretty good. Okay, y'all, I'm in the middle of a bunch of chaos of cleaning the home, but I wanted to come on here and talk to you about Kindred, this graphic novel. Now, I have Kindred in this graphic novel format, which is the one that I primarily read, but I also have the traditional format with the book with words. Now, I think that this book is best read as a traditional novel because you miss a lot of the details, and maybe there's some confusion when you read the graphic novel. But I thought that this graphic novel was amazingly graphic. Like, it shows the true details and the brutality of really of what slavery was about. And I do appreciate for what it is that there was no sugarcoating about it in the book as far as with the illustrations. It did spark a lot of strong emotions for me. Obviously, these are my people. So I did feel some type of way about that, because it is one thing reading words and it's another thing seeing a picture of that and realize that there are people that look like you that actually went through that. So pretty much this is, if you have not read it, is about a black woman in 1976 that is somehow transported back in time to the year 1819 to save one of her ancestors. It is a white ancestor. And so I did feel some type of way that she kept saving him when you had so many of her other black ancestors that definitely needed saving. But I get the idea that she is trying to preserve her storyline, and I think there's a certain amount of sympathy for her part for each side of her bloodline. Although I do appreciate that when he went too far with her, she was like, I'm out. But this book definitely really shows how easy it is for black people to just give in when you don't have any other options, and to basically contribute to the oppression of yourself, especially when it comes to family. And one last thing is, I appreciated that she called her husband out when he was alluding to the fact that slavery really wasn't that big of a deal, because the slaves seem like they are being productive and are well taken care of. As someone to my face that has been told that slavery is not that big a deal because slaves were given food and water and shelter, I definitely felt some type of way. So good job, Dana. But overall, really good book. I think that it is definitely, it's something. It really is. It's definitely what people are not taught in school and what is not in the history books. That whole image of slaves picking cotton and smiling that I grew up seeing in my history books in school, definitely not where it's at, but I did enjoy it. Now, the other book that I read, Fledgling. Fledgling is about a young girl who wakes up in a cave. She's been badly injured and burned. She has a head injury and she has amnesia. She has no idea who she is. She just knows that she has some sort of thirst for blood and flesh. So she meets this guy. They develop this sort of pedophilia relationship, if you ask me. I will die on that hill. It is not okay. And she realizes that part of her family has been killed, and as she starts to discover who she is and who her family is, she realizes that there is some sort of danger that is lurking for her. Now, I really did like the whole idea of genetic modifications to make skin color a positive thing, and the whole play on racism with that was actually pretty interesting. And the whole variation when it comes to vampire and the symbiotes. Now, this book involves murder. You have some sort of drug-like saliva, and it has a very unique take on polygamy, which I wouldn't mind trying. I was very impressed by it. The legal system, the council of judgments that is within her society, I thought was really good and a lot more fair. I think the American justice system could definitely learn a lot from that. But I did feel that it kind of left me towards the end. I was expecting something more to happen, and I felt like this was just more of a coming of age story for this young girl, and I did appreciate that, of her discovering who she was. It just kind of left me kind of flat towards the end, and I was just ready for it to be done. I just expected more, I guess. But overall, a decent book. Just, I will say, of all the books that I've read thus far, this is probably my least favorite, which is shocking because I was thinking it would be my most favorite. See, y'all, life is already conspiring against me. I done lost the nail, but I found that bad boy and I got some glue. I'ma hook myself up. No problems there. Now let's get into Wild Seed. Now Wild Seed is in a 4-book series called the Patternist series. I did enjoy Wild Seed. Wild Seed is set in the 17th century, and you have this god slash spirit named Doro, who basically can kill people and jump in and out their bodies at will, which he's pretty ruthless, so he does that with no remorse. And he meets Anyuwahu, and she is some sort of god immortal in her own right. So they decide, you know what, let's hook up. We can be this power couple. We can live through the millennia and create this, you know, powerful race of unique beings, right? And so they travel over to America, and then he somehow flips the script, and then they start having this cat and mouse power of the wills type thing, because she is not going to bow down to him like everybody else does. Now, I thought that this story was amazing. It was thoroughly fleshed out to where you really understood each and every character, and I really got invested into it. However, I thought that Doro was a complete asshole, and I didn't like how he did her dirty. I also felt that, like, this is during slave time, so I felt like, was he any better than the slavers? Because he expected obedience with no loyalty to the people that were loyal to him. I did like the whole idea about how Doro is basically playing God to determine what traits are better for the next generation. So that aspect was really, really good. And I did like all the shapeshifters and the people's different abilities, like as far as being able to heal and psychic abilities and things like that. But overall, a really good book with a lot that was going on. But this is a pretty dense book. Now here I thought I was done with the Octavia Butler vlog, and I found this book, Clay's Arc. Now this book is part of the Patternist series, and it's told in dual timelines. And basically this astronaut came from space and brought with him some sort of virus that gives like enhanced human speed, hearing, smell, whatever. And while he is trying to grow his little commune, if you will, of people with this particular virus, he is also trying to shield it from the rest of humanity. And in order to grow his community, this guy, this astronaut, and his community of people kidnap this father and his daughters. Now, I thought this book was very engaging. It was suspenseful. I was just on my seat the entire time, wanting to know what happens. That the way this virus is transmitted was really unique and interesting as well. Now, these people knew that they had this deadly virus, and although they intentionally infected some people with it, their desire to contain it was very heroic. Although I do think that long term, that is probably a wasted effort. It also is food for thought with all the space exploration that we want to do up there. NASA, this is calling to you. Then maybe we need to think twice about what we might find and what the implications of that may be long term for us on Earth. But really good book. I really enjoyed this tiny book. It was just absolutely amazing. And that said, that is my taste test of Octavia Butler for this month. I definitely got through with these books a lot quicker than I expected to. Now, I will say Octavia Butler as a whole, I think that she writes really strong, resilient characters that tend to go through quite unique adversity. I feel that she does take her time to flesh out a story. So her earlier statement about not really liking short stories because she needs that time and needs those pages, I definitely see where she was coming from with that. Like that she gives you adventure, but she also gives you a lot of those inner workings in the character's mind. So if you're someone that just likes plot without that introspective thinking, then she might not be for you. And I felt like with me, she was kind of like hit or miss when it comes to that. Like I liked it in Wild Seed, but I did not like that so much in Fledgling. I also think that her writing is very simplistic. Some of those sci-fi writers tend to overcomplicate it with a bunch of language that you really can't understand. With hers, you can totally understand. Overall, I really did enjoy Octavia Butler, and I hope to revisit one day again. So that is it. I'm going to see maybe another author that I can profile and read some other books this month. So please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.